We lived on the second floor of a small apartment building, tucked behind a line of trees. Not deep woods, just enough to block the streetlights and make the back of the building feel cut off from the rest of the world. That night, it was just the two of us. No TV, no music. Just the low hum of the heaters kicking on and off. It was late enough that everything outside had gone quiet, the kind of quiet where even small sounds feel out of place. I was half asleep when my girlfriend whispered my name. At first, I thought she was just shifting in bed. Then she whispered it again, this time sharper. "Do you see that?" I opened my eyes annoyed, and that's when I noticed the light. It wasn't steady, it wasn't random reflections. It was a beam, slow, deliberate, moving across the wall of our bedroom. A flashlight. The light slid over the curtains, disappeared, then came back again, higher this time, like whoever was holding it was adjusting their grip. I sat up, heart already pounding, and pulled the curtains back just enough to look outside. That's when I saw him. A man stood behind our building, near the edge of the trees. He was holding a flashlight at chest level, sweeping it across the second floor windows, including ours. He took a few slow steps, stopping every couple of feet to shine the light upward. When the beam hit our window again, I dropped the curtain immediately. We both froze. Neither of us said anything, but we could hear him now. Footsteps crunching slowly over leaves and gravel, moving closer to the building. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he dropped something. Maybe he lived nearby. Then we heard the sound of something brushing against the siding. A faint scraping noise, slow, careful. I checked my phone. No missed calls, no alerts. It was past midnight. The flashlight disappeared from view. For a moment, I felt relief. Maybe he'd walked off. Maybe we were overreacting. It was soft, almost polite. It came from the window. We stared at each other in disbelief. We were on the second floor. No balcony, no fire escape, nothing beneath the window but empty space. I held my breath, hoping I'd imagined it. 3 quiet knocks this time. My girlfriend grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt. I could feel her shaking. My chest felt tight, like my body knew something my brain didn't want to accept. Someone was outside our window. I forced myself to stand, every instinct screaming at me not to, and moved slowly towards the window. The tapping stopped. I pulled the curtain back in one sharp motion. Nothing. No face, no hands, no flashlight beam. Just darkness, and the outline of the tree swaying slightly in the wind. I leaned closer, scanning up and down, side to side. Still nothing. No movement, no sound. That's when I noticed something that made my stomach drop. Right below the window, pressed against the siding, was a faint smudge, like dirt or a shoe print. Right where someone would brace themselves if they were standing on something. But there was nothing there. No ladder, no boxes, no ledge. Which meant whatever, or whoever, had been outside our window didn't need help staying there. We backed away from the window and locked ourselves in the bathroom, the only room without windows. I called the police with shaking hands, trying to explain something that already sounded insane out loud. The police arrived about 10 minutes later. They searched the woods, the perimeter, even the roof. They found nothing. No man, no flashlight, no explanation. Before they left, one officer told us something I still think about whenever I hear a noise at night. He said, "You're not the first people in this building to call about something at the windows." We didn't sleep that night. And a week later, management installed security lights behind the building. But whatever was out there already knew how to reach the second floor. This happened when I was home alone one afternoon. I was about 16 at the time, and my parents were both at work. My sister was gone too, which wasn't unusual, but something about the house felt off. The moment I realized I was completely by myself. Our house was old, not falling apart, just old enough to make noise. Floors creaked, pipes knocked. What I wasn't used to was singing. I was in my bedroom watching videos when I heard it faintly, like it was coming from another room. At first I thought it was my imagination or maybe a neighbor outside. The sound was soft, slow, and steady. I paused the video and listened. The singing was coming from the kitchen. It wasn't loud, it wasn't aggressive. It sounded like an elderly woman humming a tune she'd known her whole life, gentle, almost comforting, almost. I stepped into the hallway and stood there listening. The singing continued, uninterrupted, like whoever was doing it didn't care whether they were heard or not. That's when my cat walked past me. He moved ahead of me down the hallway towards the kitchen, curious, tail low but calm. I followed behind him, trying to tell myself there was a normal explanation. Halfway down the hall, my cat stopped. He froze in place. His eyes flattened against his head, his body tensed, and his eyes went wide, staring at something I couldn't see. The singing didn't stop. Without warning, he let out a terrified sound and took off, sprinting back past me and into my bedroom closet. I heard him scrambling into the corner, crying and hissing, like he was trapped. That's when fear really set in. Animals don't imagine things, and I'd never seen my cat react like that to anything. The singing was still coming from the kitchen. I stood there alone, heart pounding, every instinct telling me to run, but I didn't. I forced myself forward, step by step, the air feeling heavier the closer I got. The melody was clearer now. I could hear words. Soft, slow, familiar, in a way that made my stomach turn. I stepped into the kitchen. The singing stopped instantly. No echo, no fade, just silence. The kitchen was empty. Every door was closed, every window was locked. There was nowhere anyone could have been hiding. I checked the entire house anyway. Nothing. When my sister got home later, I told her what happened, expecting her to laugh it off. She didn't. She told me that when we were kids, she used to have reoccurring nightmares about an old woman standing in the kitchen, singing to herself. She described the voice perfectly. I never heard the singing again, but my cat still refuses to go down the hallway alone. And sometimes, when the house is quiet, I catch myself listening, terrified that the next sound I hear will be her finishing the song. This happened when I was 15 years old, on a night when my parents went out to dinner with some friends. Nothing special, just one of those normal evenings where you're home alone for a few hours. I didn't mind. I actually liked being alone. The house felt quieter, calmer. I could do my own thing without anyone bothering me. Around 9 o'clock, I got hungry and ordered a pizza. I remember feeling kind of excited about it. Just me, a movie, and food showing up at my door. Normal stuff. About 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I didn't even hesitate. I assumed the delivery guy was early. I walked up, opened the door, and immediately knew something was wrong. It wasn't the pizza guy. It was a man I'd never seen before, standing way too close to the door. He looked disoriented, like he'd just woken up somewhere unfamiliar. His clothes were wrinkled, his hair messy, and his eyes kept darting around, like he couldn't focus on one thing for more than a second. He stared at me for a moment, then asked, where am I? That caught me off guard. I told him the name of the street, and he frowned, like it didn't help at all. Then he asked how to get to the nearest gas station. Something about the way he spoke bothered me. His voice was calm, but his body language wasn't. He kept shifting his weight, glancing past me into the house, like he was trying to see who else was inside. I hesitated, but I gave him directions anyway. I pointed down the street, explained where to turn, and tried to make it quick. He just stood there, staring at me. After a few seconds, I said I had to go and closed the door. I locked it immediately. I told myself he was just lost, maybe drunk, maybe dealing with something. Still, I didn't feel right about it. A little while later, the pizza arrived. Real delivery driver, normal interaction. I locked the door again and brought the box into the living room, trying to shake the uneasy feeling. I sat down, turned the TV on, and started eating. That's when the doorbell rang again. I froze. I wasn't expecting anyone. I muted the TV and waited. The bell rang a second time, longer this time, like whoever was pressing it was leaning into it. I didn't answer. Instead, I slowly moved towards the front window and pulled the curtain back just enough to look outside. It was him. The same man, standing right at the door. My stomach dropped. He was closer than before, almost pressed up against the door, and now he wasn't pretending to be confused. His face was tense, focused, like he'd made up his mind about something. I stepped back and stayed quiet. The doorbell stopped for about 2 seconds. Then he started pounding on the door. Not knocking, pounding. His fist slammed into the wood again and again, hard enough that the door rattled in its frame. He started yelling words I couldn't fully make out, but his tone was angry now, impatient, like I was doing something wrong by not letting him in. I ran to my room, locked the door, and called the police with shaking hands. While I was on the phone, I could still hear him, moving, hitting the door, trying to handle. I remember the operator asking me if I knew him. I said no. I remember her asking if I was alone. I said yes. The pounding suddenly stopped. I waited, barely breathing. After a minute, I looked out the window again. He was gone. The police arrived shortly after and searched the area, but they didn't find anyone. No witnesses, no explanation for why he came back, or why he was so determined to get inside. They told me he was probably just someone confused or intoxicated, but I still think about how easily he found my house again, and how he knew I was alone. Because to this day, I'm convinced the only reason he didn't get inside is because I stopped answering the door when something felt wrong.